All right, I'll call the regular council meeting Tuesday, January 21st, 2025 to order at 7 p.m. We'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Indigenous peoples of the Treaty 7 territory and the Otay-Pimisswa Métis Government District 4. We respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all First Peoples of Canada whose presence continues to enrich our community. Item 2.1. We do have an addition. I'd like to add 4.4 and have a discussion around Craft Hockeyville. Crossfield's been nominated as a community. And item 4.2 will remain, and we'll have a discussion, and I believe Steve will speak to that. So can I get a motion with the addition, please?
Through the chair.
Councilor Lambert.
We're all kind of looking at that. I'll make the motion that the January 21, 2025 agenda be amended with the removal of item.
No, keep item 4.2.
Okay.
Remove.
Be amended with the addition of item 4.4, the Craft Hockeyville.
Excellent. All in favor? Motion carried. Okay, item 3.1. Are there any changes to the minutes of January 7th? If there's no changes, can I get a motion?
Through the chair.
Deputy Mayor.
I'll make the motion that the minutes of the January 7th, 2025 regular council meeting be accepted as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay. Item 4.1, RV dump station fee for service model review. Director Altina, whenever you're ready.
Thank you to the chair. We'll just give the presentation a minute to warm up here. All right. We're online.
Yep.
Great. Good evening, Council. Steve Altina here to present the RV dump station fee for service presentation to you this evening. The purpose of this report is to provide Council with a cost-benefit assessment of the RV dump station fee for service model implementation prior to Council's final approval of the item within the 2025 capital plan this April. Quick little background, just to recap, our existing RV dump station, 2 stations there, 2 trailers can empty at the same time. It's currently free to use. Administration has been exploring a user pay system. And again, it was included as an item in the 2025 capital plan with a budget of $7,500 with the idea that under the current free for use model, that there was a desire to have some cost recovery through a pay for use model. So the installation of a user pay system would need to occur. So something that you see similar here, a photo behind me here with like a credit card pay terminal. And then automatic locking dump station lids. So we'd need 2 of those. You can see it here operated by a foot pedal. Person would pay, it would unlock the lid, they'd open it with their foot. They'd usually have 1 minute to 2 minutes to get their sanding hose in there. And then they would do their business with their trailer. So we did do a cost benefit assessment. There are costs related to implementing a system such as this. So we wanted to look at usership, fees we might charge, and whether or not the cost benefit would kind of work out into the positive for the town prior to implementing the system. We did look at some comparators. including Didsbury, Carstairs, the rest area at Dixon Stevenson Stopping House, which is just 8 kilometers to the south of us. Airdrie and Crossfield's not a comparative, that's us. The cost, Didsbury is free, free at the Dixon Stevenson Stopping House. Airdrie and Carstairs very similarly priced, $5 and $5.50. Most of their seasons run from May to early October. We currently run our station. It is available all year round, but the water is not available all year round for obvious reasons. And Carstairs is located actually in the campground and has about 800 annual users in Carstairs. And we'll be comparing mostly to Carstairs for this presentation, as that's where we were able to get some data. So in conducting the financial analysis, the setup costs in the system were about $6,500. We've been in touch with Sandy Star out of the US, who typically provides these systems. And so these numbers are based on what they provided us for as their typical fees. There's an annual licensing fee of about $2,800. Other annual costs amount to about $1,500, the mid-maintenance system upgrades. Credit card fees, 5% per transaction, about $260. And then a one-time reinstall cost of $2,000. As you know, the RV dump station, there's a lot of icing there. We'd probably look at a plan in 2026 or 2027 to address some of the drainage issues there. The system would need to be removed, address the drainage issues there and reinstalled. So that's that one-time reinstall cost. Running through all these values and putting it through kind of our financial analysis, we end up with a bit of a financial metric. I do apologize. There is an error in your report tonight. We had, the report says a recovery period of 15 years, but actually the numbers were all run on a recovery period of 10 years. That's my fault. It is a typo in the report there. Under the status quo, we estimate we're spending, in maintenance and staff time about $950 a year under the free model. So a loss of about $950 a year to the town. Under the fee for service model based at 800 users, the annual cost would amount to around $4,750. Revenues would amount to about $4,400 for a loss of about $350. So our preliminary look at this appears to be that it would be difficult likely to realize net positive result on a system like this. The break-even uses is about 1,000. We think we would, optimistically, we would get 800. Again, Carstairs is getting about 800 a year, but they're integrated right with the campground. Ours is not integrated with the campground, so they kind of have a captive audience there with the campground. Again, with the system, with the electronics and everything, it would typically operate 5 months a year. So your locking lids in the winter, should they be used, would typically freeze shut and things like that. So there'll be operating difficulties in operating it all year. So we would look at approximately 150 days per year operations implementing this kind of system. Just looking at some other metrics and numbers, if we had 1,500 uses a year, it would be annual profits of around $2,500 per year. At 1,000 uses, again, that 1020 is kind of the break-even point, would be an annual loss of $82. Status quo, again, is an annual loss of around $950. So considering all these numbers and our financial analysis, we suggest that they would operate at a loss at a very similar magnitude to the free model currently. And we would recommend that Town RV Dump Station continue to operate under the existing free model. Our recommendation to council tonight is that council direct administration to remove the RV Dump Station fee for service model project from the proposed 2025 capital plan. And you'd see that change reflected when we bring back the capital plan in April.
Excellent. Thanks for that.
And,
Questions?
Questions?
I'm sorry. Questions for Steve?
To the
I
chair.
didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
That's okay. Not a question, Steve, but I do want to thank you for putting it into a better perspective. And it does make more sense to go with your advising us not to go through with it. We'd be spending more money than what we're losing right now.
Through the chair, I think it
Councilor
would
Lambert.
make more sense that once we go through our land inventory stuff, if we find a place where we could possibly put a campground, that the RV dump be moved there, and then the campground managers can collect the money, and you don't need to put in all that expensive electronic equipment.
Well, it might be at their expense to you to put the system in.
Through the chair, sorry, based on Councilor Lambert's question, how would that affect it if we separated it to the campground for our bulk water? Would we still have to have 2 separate stations?
Through the chair to Councillor Fox. Yes, likely our bulk water station remain where it is, just due to the infrastructure to feed that station. And then the campground obviously would need to tie into our sanitary system, wherever that may be. I think, it's probably a good comment if I can just comment a little bit more on Councillor Lambert's comments there. Integration with the campground would probably really drive usership, and then that
Mm.
pay for service model would likely start to make more sense as you'd see more users, more regular users, of course, through the
Yeah,
campground,
which
right?
would
So
make sense.
Any other questions? No, you're good. Okay. All right, if there's no further questions or discussion, can I get a motion?
Chair,
Counselor Brennan,
I move that council, wait a minute. Oh, yeah.
item
I-
4.1.
No, sorry. I move that council directs administration to remove the RV dump station fee for service model project from the proposed 2025 capital plan.
All in favor? Motion carried. Actually, thank you for the report. Okay, and looks like you're up again. SDAB application discussion.
yes, thank you to the chair again, Steve Altina, to present SDAB application report today. I think the intent is for us not to necessarily present the report as presented today, but to inform council that through further discussions with the applicant, they have withdrawn their application for the SDAB. Administration has spoken with the applicant and discussed their application to SDAB, and they understand that if they join SDAB, that they would not be able to be on MPC as per the Municipal Government Act. They're currently an active MPC member. They're a very valued member of MPC and a valued contributor, as I'm sure Councilor Lambert can attest on MPC. And that's why you had seen in item 4.2 that administration had recommended declining the application just because of their valid contributions to MPC specifically. The applicant was very willing to remain on MPC and has decided just to withdraw their application. So available for any further questions from council, but that's kind of where we sit, and that we would recommend that council accept that withdrawal.
Any questions at all? Yep. Very good, thank you. And there's no motion required on that one. Okay, item 4.3, and an email was sent out on this afternoon. And CAO Kinza, maybe if you can speak to it a little bit. Oh, Lindsay's going to, I'm sorry. Director Nash.
Good evening, council. The purpose of this report is to provide council with background information on the Industrial Inquiry Commission reviewing Canada Post. As council may be aware, the oh my goodness, I can't talk, sorry.
It's okay.
As council may be aware, the Canada Industrial Regulations Board, as instructed by Minister of Labour Stephen McKinnon, ordered the resumption of the mail service at Canada Post on December 17th, 2024, under Section 107 of the Canadian Labor Code. And he also created an Industrial Inquiry Commission led by William Kaplan that will work with the CUPW and Canada Post to examine the future of public post office and a very broad scope under Section 108 of the Canada Labor Code. The commission has been tasked with reviewing the obstacles to negotiated collective agreements, as well as making recommendations about future structure of Canada Post. The commission has until May 15th, 2025 to submit its final report to the government. There is an opportunity for third parties to make a submission as part of the commission's public review, and CUPW would like to ensure that the views of municipalities are considered. The CUPW is requesting that the town of Crestwold provide a submission to the commission regarding preserving our universal and public postal service, maintaining the moratorium of post office closures, maintaining door-to-door mail delivery, and establishing postal banking to offset the loss of financial services in many communities. And there's additional informations and letters attached from the national president.
Excellent, thank you. Questions? Questions and or conversation on the direction that we want to go?
Yeah.
Councillor Dustin.
Through the chair, just a clarification, this is all driven by the union, is that correct? To have the submissions brought forward? This is,
Yes.
the union is driving this, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
Like, I'm just curious, like, even if we move forward and made some recommendations and filled out their, like, how much weight would that actually have coming from Crossfield, and should we even, I don't want to call it a waste of time, like, I mean, we all value our post office, but in the end, it's not going to be our decision.
Mhm. Yep.
Right?
Mayor, if I may,
You can.
that's kind of where I was getting at, is how much weight can our, yeah, if all the municipalities in individual municipalities, because they approached every single municipality in every region of Canada
Yeah.
to do this, is what they're looking for, is support that continue on whatever they're doing. You know, I know that they're losing money. You know, how do they streamline their business and do whatever they're supposed to be doing and still support our communities and not lose money? That's up to them.
Well, it doesn't matter what we say,
Yeah.
they're going to do what they want
We'd
anyway.
love to have the service, absolutely, but can they do it in a efficient manner? But that's not up to me. That's up to the union and the powers to be that run Canada Post. So if they can run it efficiently, for sure. But if they can't, it's gonna eventually go away.
Right.
So
Anyone else? Councilor Vang, you bursting at the seams there.
Oh, I was just unhappy with what happened altogether. It almost gave me a stroke. I was so mad with them. And I don't support Canada, or sorry, Cup W at all. I would see them disbanded and Canada Post as Crown Corporation sell it.
Again, they're probably not going to listen to us, so.
Yeah. But that's my opinion.
Awesome, thank you. Councilor Brennan, how about you?
I'm a little, through the chair, I'm a little confused, I guess, but I suppose if there's no weight to this anyway, then why not sign off on all of them and send it away?
Right? Any comments? You're okay. All right. Okay, well, I think that we pretty much decided, so could I get somebody to make a motion?
Go ahead, Councilor Bang.
through the chair,
Councilor Gustafson.
this is my motion. The council does not provide a submission to the commission.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
That was easy. Thank you.
That was fun.
Okay, moving on. Item 4.4, Craft Hockeyville. And this is something that I wanted to add to the agenda because we have had some residents here starting to drive the Craft Hockeyville. Crossfield community has a chance to vie for $250,000 and to have an NHL hockey game here in Crossfield if we are the winner. I think that an initiative like this takes more than just some community members. I think it takes the town, the community, all of our not-for-profit groups, and our businesses to get together to make this happen. And I was curious if this council and would like to throw town support behind this. And what I mean by town support is help advertise, maybe lend some administration to some of the organization and gathering the people together to do some of the activities and pushing out those pictures, 3 points per picture. That's how we gain our points. And then if council would like to throw some funds towards it for some of those things like Craft Hockeyville placards and other advertising type things to win the game. We can have a discussion, then I have some thoughts on an amount if we want to go. Questions, discussion.
Through the chair.
Councilor Gus.
I think it's an excellent idea that we engage in getting our town's name out there. I think that a little bit of marketing would go a long ways. And I have some ideas that probably can help this further this. That's probably for a later discussion, but I
Mhm.
think a marketing strategy needs to go out there.
Great. Anyone else? Comments? Questions?
No, great idea.
Through the chair. I just have a question. Have you discussed this with our administration, who might have the time to help some of these other?
I had a discussion very quickly with the CAO,
Yeah.
and she wasn't kicking and screaming, so.
Oh.
However, I
Mhm.
think this is where it starts. It started with community. We're having the conversation here. We do have some time, but not a lot of time. It's a short project, really, because March 2nd is when nominations close. And then they come up with finalists, and then we get to do another push for, if we're one of the finalists, then we get another couple weeks or month or something to do another push. So
And just to finish my thought, I do think we have to, I think all of Crossfield has to get behind this because I think that is part of what brings out the winner is
That's
if
how
they
you win.
know the whole community is
Mhm.
behind it.
schools, groups, everywhere.
Yeah.
Pack any arena.
Yeah, and I think on the administrative side too, I mean, council can give that direction, but as to how much time and what administration does, that will be up to our CAO,
Through the chair,
Councilor Gustafson.
who would be the lead on this?
So we have a couple of community leaders currently
Okay,
that have started the drive. They're willing to get a more of a base group together to drive it. I think that they would accept any help, even if it was from council or anyone else from the community, businesses, schools, not-for-profit groups who
Mhm.
want to jump on that bandwagon and help out. Yeah. So I would like to propose that the town does put in some funds towards this initiative. If we do have, and my thought was maybe the town, we always have extra money lying around, right? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That was a tongue in cheek, but I'm curious if we could find around $3,000. All of that may not be spent on this initiative. But if we had $3,000 as a base to get going and start with, I think that we may be able to leverage that with community and see what we can do, and thoughts from council on that.
Through the chair.
Councilor Brennan.
I think this sounds like something really cool to unite town. That sounds awesome. I don't think that's an outrageous number. And I don't think it's an unreasonable ask, so why not try for it?
Anyone else?
Through the chair. I agree. We just need to find ways to promote it more, to get more residents and businesses on board.
I think there's I don't know how many pictures it is. Maybe it's, for example, 10 pictures per person that you can put up, so 30 points per person. But if smaller towns than Crossfield have won this thing, so.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it might be time it came west, hasn't it?
I-
been in the
it's
east
been in
a
the
lot.
east The
Yeah.
last 3 times, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, so can we leave that with you? And we can make a motion.
So there are a couple of options. I can leave it to our CFO, Amber Ouellette, to provide more details on that maybe. But there are a couple of options, I do believe, within the town budget that we could access as potential funding sources for this. So maybe, Amber, if I can pass it over to you to speak to those specific options. And maybe that can form part of the motion if council wants to move in that direction.
Sure. Suppose council has a few options. There is the rec board funding, that is available to nonprofit groups. So that's one option, or the town does have a dedicated community events budget that should be able to absorb an exciting initiative such as the Craft Hockey Bill kind of application or rally and whatnot. So those would be, I would say, in my opinion, the two best options for council's consideration.
Excellent. So is that something you would like us to choose? Because we can't decide without the rec board on that. And then the rec board one takes time that we may not have.
So that might help steer you in one direction versus the other.
All right. So what was the second fund?
It would be the community events
Community
budget.
events.
Yeah.
Yes, it's through the chair. I believe the rec board doesn't meet again until the end of March.
Exactly. And it could be an email vote, but I don't think it would come quick enough.
Mhm.
All right. So any further discussion? No? All right. Then I'm going to propose a motion that council supports $3,000 towards Craft Hockeyville through our community events budget. Will that motion work for you, Lindsay? Is that close enough?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you. All in favor? Oh, wait.
Sorry, I don't know if this could be added to the motion as well, but to invite all of the community groups to join in with any donations that are available as well. But that
I don't think that is part of
it's not part of the motion, but I'd like to put that out there as well.
Yeah, I don't think that's part of the motion.
Yeah.
But I wonder if part of the motion is to apply some town staff to. Yes, please.
The town of Crossfield support. I had Crossfield Minor Hockey because I believe that's who is running it, but I'm not
I'm
positively
not
sure.
sure. I think we just call it the Craft Hockeyville.
Okay. In their efforts in applying for the Craft Hockeyville 2025 by providing administrative support and funding in the amount of $3,000 from the community events budget line.
And I would like to add onto that with support from administration. Is
She's
it?
put it in there.
Sorry,
It's in there. Yeah. you can barely-
it's not even my bedtime yet. All right, then I shall make that motion.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you for your support on that. I think it's a great community initiative, and go Crossfield. Okay, counselor reports. I had the opportunity to stop down at the new vape shop, The Vault, talk to the owner on the weekend. They're pretty happy to be here and sounds like they're doing all right. I also stopped by the skating competition. And, you know, a lot of the kids had more ideas for me for what we could do in Crossfield. Russ, it'd be a heavy agenda if they were in charge of things, that's for sure. Yeah, and then I had two mid-sized towns mayors in the last 2 weeks in preparation for our meeting with Mr. McIver and the premier's assistant. And I continue to meet weekly with the CAO, Deputy Mayor Fox.
I have nothing further to report.
Hey, Councilor Brennan.
I have an upcoming Marigold Library Board meeting this Saturday. Apart from that, nothing further to report.
Councilor Gustafson.
Upcoming Rocky Foundation meeting on the 29th, next Wednesday.
Councilor Lambert.
Nothing to report.
Councilor Vang.
Nothing to report.
Can I get a motion?
To the chair.
Councilor Brennan,
Move that the council reports be accepted as presented.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Administrative update, outstanding items list. CAO Bernie.
Thank you, Mayor Harris. So there's two items that are marked as complete on here. Item 046 being the Crossfield Library Board appointment, and 047, the Crossfield and District Rec Board funding request. I'd like to request the removal of both of those items. Should also note item 004, 024, rather, the tax sale lands of two properties on Railway Street and looking at what the proposed use of those contaminated lands would be. Request the movement of that to Q2. We've built into the budget for 2025 a phase 2 environmental that will ultimately determine what the potential uses for those lands can look like. So time to be able to operationalize those phase 2 environmental assessments is required. And as such, that movement into Q2 will be required on the outstanding items list. And that is it for the outstanding items list.
Excellent. Any questions? Okay, if there's no questions, can I get a motion?
Through the chair,
Councillor Lambert,
make the motion that item 046 and 047 on the outstanding items list be removed and item 024 be moved to Q2.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, item 7.1, correspondence from Rocky View Foundation and request for requisition of capital funds for Affordable Housing Reserve Fund. And I do believe in reading it, it's not exactly the intent of the letter. But I was curious if Councillor Gustafson has some more insight for us.
Absolutely, I can do that. So when requisitions take place, the use of the money is for operations. What we're asking for is to change some of the use of the operation, or the use of the money for capital projects. So what we'd like to do is move some of the money that we have there, and we have some new lodges coming to fruition, one in Bragg Creek, and to be able to use some of the funds. I know it's not exactly in our communities, but it's for the whole. It's not just for, and that's the intention behind the change of where the money actually goes. So by intent of the rules, we have to ask all of the stakeholders, which are our community, Airdrie, Bicycle, Irricana, Rocky View County, Cochrane. So each community has to approve that where the funds go is okay.
So that's within your agreement with each of the towns or in your policy as a board?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So and that's not just only like, that's government rules that we have. We can't just move the money willy-nilly to capital. We have to, hey, this is how much funds we'd like to move into capital instead of operations.
So you need an actual motion if this council agrees moving operating to capital.
Correct. We need a motion to accept that letter.
Not just for information, but
Correct. To approve that that it goes now into a reserve fund for capital. So no different than our reserve funds that we use for different purposes within the town.
mhm.
So what we're looking to do is, hey, we're looking to move this 500,000 like into a reserve fund for capital use, future capital use.
Right, and you have enough operating funds without asking for more.
Yes, so
And this will just transfer over to capital.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're not asking for more money. We're not asking for any additional funds. Even for next year, there will be no increase in the requisition. It's just we would like to do this with what our budget allows into a reserve fund for the future capital.
Yeah, it's just very odd that somebody would move operating money into capital money.
And I'll tell you why. It's because we don't have any capital money. We don't,
Right.
like, requisition is never for capital, so we're using, the only way we get capital money is by getting grants
grants.
or fundraising or anything like that. There's no other there's no other way to raise funds, and we have some, I want to say extra that we don't have to use in our operating that we'd like to use going forward
Right.
for the new lodges or any upgrades that we'd like to do in Crossfield or Averill Place or anything like that. The new lodge that we'd like to build in Bragg Creek, the new lodge in Cochrane.
I'm just curious, are there any other rules like for your board to move the operating over to capital, or is that the only one is
This
to
is-
ask the
This is the rule.
communities involved?
This is the rule. The money came from the communities, like
Yeah.
all of, like the 500,000 came from, there was a little, I wouldn't say a little portion, but there's a small portion from Crossfield. The biggest portion comes from Rocky View County.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the,
Makes sense.
I would say 90% of that money comes from Rocky View County. The rest come from Bicycle, Irricana,
Okay.
Cochrane. So.
Excellent. Thank you.
So that's the reasoning behind it. It took us a while to get to this letter. There's been quite a few drafts and
Mhm.
how we actually speak about what we want to do with the money.
Mhm.
Yeah. We just need permission to, because it is requisition money, to move it into capital.
Any other questions?
Through the chair. So it's not directly pertaining to this letter. When is the board going to come back to council for their funding for going 2025? Were we not supposed to get that request by now? We asked for it early in the year. Refresh my memory if I'm incorrect.
So an update on the requisition?
No, because every year we give our funding
What funding?
to your board.
Well, every town gives funding.
Every town
But
gives funding.
But is there an increase in 2025?
Yeah.
So there's no funding, it's requisition.
Yeah,
It's from the taxpayer.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
not from
that's
the town.
correct.
yeah.
So
So
I must be.
so think
mistaken.
of it just like,
So the rate's been set.
the rate's already been set, yeah, so think of it as
Yeah.
like the Rocky View School Division,
Mhm.
same thing.
Okay.
It's, the Rocky View School Division has a requisition. Same with the Rocky View Foundation.
Okay.
So there's no funding from the town per se, it's funding from taxpayers.
That's right.
And it's already been set and there's been no increase.
It's been set for 2025. There's no
Okay.
increase.
Correct.
And I think that maybe what Deputy Mayor wants to just ensure is that if there is one for 2026, that we know about that requisition increase in the 2025 year before we go into budget.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, there's been quite a few discussions on making sure that any increase in requisition is done in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
So that the communities can budget for that.
That
Yeah,
is
That's
perfect.
where I was.
Well,
going with
it's-
that.
it's-
Because I remember
it's-
him
it's-
coming.
It's
Yeah.
not that the communities budget for it, it's the taxpayers know that it's coming down the pipe. So
We always are the ones that have to explain it though.
Yeah.
Yes.
absolutely, yeah, so, and we don't take it lightly when we have to do an increase. There's an increase for a reason that we have to make sure that we are fulfilling our obligations to not only the town and the communities, that we provide a service for the seniors and seniors affordable housing.
Excellent. Any other questions? All right, Lindsay, do you have any motion for us?
I didn't know I was doing a presentation.
Well,
Through the chair, that the Rocky Foundation request for capital funds for Affordable Housing Reserve Fund be accepted as presented.
excellent. Who would like to make that motion? Not you.
I can't do it. No.
Counselor Brennan.
I'll make the motion, but there's no way I can just remember it like.
as read by,
As
Yeah.
read
Director
by
Nash.
Yeah.
all right. All in favor? And motion carried. Thanks, for explaining that. That was really good.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's, it means a lot.
Okay, well, and that is it. That brings us to adjournment.
Through the
I'll make
chair.
the motion to adjourn.
Counselor
go
May,
ahead. Go ahead.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
and that is it.
And has that come before every